I'd like to show you this tile handling unit. So when I start the simulation, you will see that the gripper is closing and the tile handling unit will execute the basic process of this unit. So it will just move over to the other conveying system. And now I'd like to show you how such a block of tiles can execute this functionality by triggering this light barrier here, so that this light barrier will trigger the movement of this handling unit. So first of all, we have to model this block of tiles as a rigid body. And this rigid body also has to be a collision body so that it will collide and that it will be conveyed by the conveying system. Now when I switch on the simulation, you will see that this block is being conveyed over and that it will run through and fall down. So it does not yet trigger the light beam. So first of all, to have such a trigger, such a light beam as a trigger defined, you can use a so-called collision sensor. This collision sensor can now be applied to this object, and we have different collision shapes: box, sphere, and line. So in that case, box and line does make sense, and we can go with the box, for example. Now I have the collision sensor right here, and I can now switch on the simulation and have a look at the collision sensor here, and I see that it will toggle from false to true and back to false again when the box is running through the collision sensor. So now I can use this sensor signal for my operations, for the first operation of this handling unit, and just adding here a specific condition. So this condition now should be that this collision sensor over here has to be triggered first. So the condition is if collision sensor is triggered equals true, then the movement of the handling unit should be triggered. So as you can see here, now the handling unit will wait and will hand over the tile after the collision sensor is triggered. As the gripper itself is a collision body, in that case, the collision body does trigger the sensor, and therefore we see this multiple handing overs of this handling unit. This can be fixed by simply applying another collision category to the sensor. For example, I can switch over to collision category 1. And making sure that the gripper itself does have another collision category, which is 5. So collision category 1 objects do not collide with collision category 5 objects. And on the other hand, I have to make sure that the collision category of this box do collide with the sensor as well as with the gripper. So that's collision category 0, which collides with each individual collision category. So now when I execute the simulation, you will see that the process is going to be triggered and the gripper will not execute another movement again, as it will not collide with the sensor.